Obturator externus muscle is also one of the medial compartment muscle of the thigh. It is a flat, fan-shaped muscle. Its extensive body is attached to the hip bone, and posterolaterally the muscle fibers converge to form the pointed tendon, which is attached to the proximal part of the femur bone. It originates from the external surface of the obturator membrane and adjacent bone. This is isolated hip bone with the interior view. In the medial view, this is the obturator foramen. The obturator foramen is closed by the obturator membrane. The obturator membrane has two surfaces: the internal surface and the external surface. An obturator externus muscle originates from the external surface of the obturator membrane and adjacent bone. Now remember, from the internal surface of the obturator membrane and adjacent bone originate obturator internus muscle. So obturator internus muscle originate from the internal surface of the obturator membrane, and the obturator externus muscle originate from the external surface of the obturator membrane. Also, the obturator internus muscle is part of the deep group of the gluteal muscles, while the obturator externus muscle is part of the medial compartment muscle of the thigh. After origination, the muscle fibers converge posterolaterally to form the tendon, which passes posterior to the hip joint and neck of the femur bone. As you can see, obturator externus muscle passes posterior to the hip joint. Next is the insertion. It is inserted on the lateral wall of the trochanteric fossa. Now to make it easy, we will simply say that it is inserted on the trochanteric fossa. This is isolated femur bone with the interior view. In the medial view, this caudal deep notch between the root of the greater trochanter and the neck of the femur bone is the trochanteric fossa. This is the lateral wall of the trochanteric fossa where the obturator externus muscle is inserted. Obturator externus muscle is innervated by posterior branch of the obturator nerve. Spinal nerve roots L3 and L4 has major contribution in the innervation of this muscle. Among these two, L4 is the major contributor. Next is the action. Obturator externus muscle only crosses the hip joint, and its main action on the hip joint is the lateral rotation of the thigh. This action of the obturator externus muscle is similar to that of the obturator internus muscle. Although these two muscles originate opposite to one another, obturator externus muscle originates from the external surface of the obturator membrane, while obturator internus muscle originates from the internal surface of the obturator membrane. After origination, the obturator internus muscle bend 90 degrees around the ischium bone and insert close to each other. That's why these two muscles has the same action. This is the only muscle in the medial compartment whose action is different from its other muscles. All other muscles of the medial compartment adduct the thigh, while obturator externus muscle laterally rotate the thigh. So comparing its action with the obturator internus muscle will help you memorize its action. Next, I will give you a quick overview of the medial compartment muscles of the thigh. Thank you.